before you ever learned how to think, before language shaped your identity, before fear taught you who to pretend to be. You breathed, not as a habit, not as survival, but as initiation. And what if the breath you're taking right now is not keeping you alive? What if it's quietly deciding the shape of your future? Pause. Let that land. Because the most dangerous lie you were ever taught is that your power lives in effort, in thought, in force. The truth is far quieter and far more unsettling. It lives in the space between your breaths. Most people imagine awakening as a moment of explosion, a lightning strike, a sudden flood of light that shatters the old self. But it doesn't happen that way. It happens while you're stuck in traffic, while you're replaying a conversation that already ended, while you're lying awake at night, wondering why nothing seems to change no matter how much you work on yourself. And then, without warning, something shifts. Not outside. Inside, not in your thoughts, in your breath. You were never meant to think your way into a new reality. You were meant to breathe your way into it. This is the part no one told you. You take roughly 23,000 breaths every single day. 23,000 chances to either reinforce the life you're trapped in, or quietly step into a different one. And almost every one of those breaths happens unconsciously. Rushed, shallow, fragmented. You breathe while scrolling. You breathe while worrying. You breathe while bracing for impact. And then you wonder why life keeps answering you with the same patterns. You're trying to change the reflection, while ignoring the signal. Because breath is not neutral. It never was. Every breath is a broadcast, a frequency, a message sent into the field long before your mind catches up. And here's the uncomfortable truth. Your external reality is not responding to what you want. It's responding to how you're breathing. This is why positive thinking fails, why visualization collapses under stress, why affirmations dissolve the moment real life pushes back. Because the field doesn't respond to words, it responds to coherence, and coherence is born in the breath. Right now, without changing anything, notice how you're breathing. Don't fix it. Don't judge it. Just notice. Where is it coming from? High in the chest, short and tight, barely touching the body at all. This is mechanical breathing, the kind that keeps the organism alive, while starving the soul. Mechanical breathing belongs to survival, to vigilance, to a nervous system trained to expect danger, even when none is present. And a survival-based breath creates a survival-based life. Ancient cultures understood this long before neuroscience gave it a name. The yogis called it prana. The Hebrews called it ruach. The Taoists spoke of it as the movement of life itself. Different languages, same knowing. Breath was never just air. It was the bridge between body and consciousness, between matter and the unseen, between who you are and who you are becoming. The Egyptians taught that each breath awakened a different chamber of consciousness, not metaphorically, literally. They understood that breath could open gates the mind could never force, because breath is the only function in your body that is both automatic and voluntary. Think about that. Your heart beats without permission. Your digestion happens without consent. But breath waits for you. It responds the instant awareness arrives. And that is not an accident. It is an invitation. When you breathe unconsciously, life happens to you. When you breathe consciously, life happens through you. This is where the observer is born. Right now, bring your attention to the sensation of breathing again. Feel the air enter. Feel it leave. And as you do, notice something subtle. Your thoughts don't stop. They comment. They judge. They narrate. This is strange. Am I doing this right? When will this end? But here's the fracture in the illusion. If you can observe those thoughts, you cannot be them. Something deeper is watching. That watcher is the observer, the part of you untouched by time, unchanged by failure, unscarred by memory. You've been mistaking the noise for the knower. Your thoughts are like a river, sometimes calm, sometimes violent. But you are not the river. You are the one standing on the bank. Thoughts move. You remain. This observer is not created. It is remembered. And breath is how you remember it. Every time attention returns to breathing, you step out of the mental storm and back into presence. This is not philosophy. This is physics. In quantum mechanics, observation changes behavior. Particles behave differently when observed. Reality reorganizes itself around awareness. And when you become the observer of your inner world, when you stop being fused with every thought and emotion, you regain the position from which reality responds. This is why moments of crisis feel surreal, why time slows during accidents or deep love. You briefly drop into the observer, into the gap, and hidden inside that gap is a window most people never learn to access. 0.3 of a second, the pause, between inhale and exhale, between exhale and inhale. Most rush past it, but that pause, that silence, is not empty. It is saturated. Ancient Egyptian initiates called it dwelling in the silence of creation, the place where the sun rests before rising again. Modern neuroscience now confirms what they knew intuitively. In that pause, the nervous system resets, the brain synchronizes, the heart shifts into coherence, thought loosens its grip, and intention becomes clear, not the desperate wanting of the ego, but the quiet directive of the soul. This is where reality listens, not when you beg, not when you force, but when you become still enough to be heard. You were never meant to chase the field. You were meant to align with it. And alignment begins not with action, but with stillness, stillness that breath opens, stillness that organizes, like the eye of a hurricane, perfect calm around which all movement arranges itself. This is the breath of the observer, not breathing to survive, breathing to remember. Remember that your body is not separate from consciousness. Remember that your presence is not passive. Remember that every breath is either reinforcing chaos or broadcasting coherence. In the next movement of this journey, you will descend deeper, out of the mind, into the body, into the inner temple where memory, emotion, and power have been waiting for you to arrive. But for now, stay here, in this breath, in this pause, because the door has already opened. You're standing in it, and once you see it, you can never unsee it. You've been breathing your entire life, but you've never been taught to breathe. Not truly. You were taught to work harder, to think smarter, to push through discomfort, to stay positive. But you were never taught the one thing that actually changes everything: how to become the observer of your own breath. And that's why you feel stuck, because your breath is not just a physical process. It is a living map of your nervous system, a direct connection to your emotional landscape, a portal into the quantum field. Your body has been carrying your story like a hidden temple. Every trauma, every heartbreak, every shameful secret, every unspoken word, all stored in tissue, held in breath, trapped in the architecture of your physical being. Your shoulders are heavy because you have been carrying what you weren't meant to carry. Your chest is tight because your heart learned to protect itself. Your belly is clenched because fear has been living there for years. These are not just sensations. They are biographical. Your body is the archive of your life, and your breath is the key. Because the breath is the only function that can touch the body's stored memory while simultaneously touching the quantum field. In the ancient mystery schools of Egypt, they didn't teach breathing exercises. They taught initiation. They taught how to move through the inner chambers of the body, how to enter the temple and awaken the sacred spaces inside you. They understood what modern science is only beginning to prove: that your body is not just a vessel. It is a living network of intelligence, a sacred machine designed to hold consciousness. And your breath is the tool that unlocks it. When you breathe consciously, you begin to build your inner temple. Not with stone, not with rituals, but with awareness. You begin to place each breath like a brick. You begin to create a structure of coherence inside you. And coherence is the opposite of chaos. Chaos is what your life has been built from if you've been reacting, if you've been living in the autopilot of survival. You wake up, you rush, you survive, you collapse, you repeat, and your breath becomes a reflection of that cycle. Shallow, rushed, disconnected. But when you breathe consciously, something changes. Your nervous system begins to shift. Your heart begins to stabilize. Your mind begins to slow. Your emotions begin to become weather instead of identity. You begin to feel something you may have never felt before, a sense of spaciousness, a feeling that you are not trapped inside your life, that your life is happening through you, that you are not a victim of your story. You are the storyteller. This is the moment you begin to understand the real reason your reality has been repeating itself. It's not because you are cursed. It's not because the universe is against you. It's not because you're not spiritual enough. It's because you've been breathing from a place of survival. And survival breath creates survival reality. And survival reality is always the same. It's always a loop. It's always a repetition. But there is a different breath, a sacred breath, a breath that rewrites the script. This is the breath that changes your internal frequency. This is the breath that changes the field, because your breath is not only inside you, it's outside you. The HeartMath Institute has proven what ancient mystics always knew. Your heart generates an electromagnetic field that extends beyond your body, a field that can be measured, a field that changes based on your emotional state, a field that extends about 8 feet around you. Your breath is the conductor of that field. When you breathe from chaos, your field becomes chaotic. When you breathe from coherence, your field becomes coherent. And coherence is contagious. Think about it. Have you ever walked into a room and immediately felt tension or peace? You didn't hear a word. You didn't see anything. But your body knew. That is the field. And the field is being shaped by breath. So what does that mean for you? It means you have been unconsciously broadcasting your internal state to the world. Your relationships, your work, your environment. Everything has been responding to the frequency you are sending out. And the terrifying part is, you've been doing it with no awareness. You've been creating reality while asleep. And now you're beginning to wake up. This is why the observer breath is dangerous. Because once you understand it, you can't unknow it. Once you realize your breath is the architect of your reality, you can no longer blame circumstances. You can no longer blame other people. You can no longer play the victim of your story. You must face the truth. You are creating this. And you can change it. But you can't do it with thought. Thought is too slow. Too reactive, too tied to old patterns. Breath is immediate. Breath is present. Breath is the only tool that can shift your state in real time. And once you shift your state, your reality begins to shift with it. This is why the breath protocol works, because it bypasses the mind and reprograms the body. It changes the signal before the field has a chance to interpret it. It is the difference between trying to change your life from the outside and changing it from the inside out. Here is the sacred truth you must understand. Your mind does not create reality. Your state creates reality. Your state is generated by your breath. Your breath is the gateway. Now, take a moment. Inhale deeply. Hold. Exhale slowly. Notice the difference. Notice the shift. This is the beginning of your inner temple. This is the moment you stop being a reactive human and start becoming a conscious creator. But you're not finished yet, because your body is holding secrets. Your breath is only the door. The temple is inside, and the next step is to enter it, to go deeper, to uncover the hidden blocks, to dissolve the emotional patterns that have been shaping your life without your permission. You are about to learn the sacred 4-step breath protocol that turns you into the observer, not just the experiencer. But first, you must understand what you are breathing into. The next layer of this journey is where the breath meets the body's hidden memory, where the breath becomes a tool of transformation rather than just a practice, where the temple begins to reveal its chambers, and you will see why the world is designed to keep you breathing like a machine. Because once you breathe like a divine being, you can no longer be controlled. If this resonates, share it in the comments. It helps this message reach more seekers. Now you know the truth. Your breath is not just a function of survival. It is the language of creation. And now you are ready to learn the protocol that transforms you from a reactive human into a conscious creator. This is the breath that rewrites your life. But before we begin, you must understand one more dangerous fact. Most people think they are breathing, but they are not. They are running. They are running from their feelings, from their past, from their truth. Their breath is shallow because their soul is hiding. And when you hide from yourself, you hide from reality. So the first step is to come home. Step 1. Return to the body. Sit still. Close your eyes. Bring your attention to your chest. Feel the rise and fall. Notice the tension. This is not a problem. It is information. Your body is telling you what your mind has been refusing to hear. Now, inhale slowly. Let the air move into the chest. Then continue the breath deeper into the belly. This is not forced. It is guided. You are not trying to control your breath. You are inviting it to become your ally. When the breath reaches your belly, feel the expansion. This is the breath of life, the breath of the temple. This is where your power resides. Your belly is the chamber of intuition, the place where your deepest knowing lives. When you breathe into the belly, you reconnect with your instinct. You stop overthinking. You start knowing. And this is how you begin to shift the field. Step 2. The heart coherence. Now move your attention to the heart. Not the physical heart, the energetic heart. Feel the space behind your sternum. Feel the warmth. Now, breathe into the heart, not just into the chest, into the center. Inhale with the intention of opening. Exhale with the intention of releasing. You are not trying to fix anything. You are simply creating space. Space for peace. Space for love. Space for clarity. When you breathe into the heart, your electromagnetic field begins to change. Your heart becomes coherent. Your nervous system becomes calm. Your mind stops being the commander. Your heart becomes the guide. And this is when you begin to feel something you may have forgotten. Your life does not have to be hard. It can be aligned. It can be effortless. It can flow. But you must breathe into that truth. Step 3. The observer pause. This is the secret, the part no one teaches, the part that separates the spiritually curious from the spiritually awakened. The pause, the gap, the stillness between inhale and exhale. This is where the quantum field listens. This is where your intention becomes a command. As you exhale, Allow the breath to finish naturally. Do not force it. Then hold, just for a moment. Not too long, just long enough to feel the stillness. In that pause, you are not breathing. You are being. You are the observer. You are the silent presence behind the breath. And in that presence, reality is listening. You are not trying to change anything. You are simply holding the space. And that is enough, because the field responds to the energy you hold, not the effort you exert. This pause is your quantum lever. It is the point where the world bends. Step 4. The release now. Exhale, slowly, completely, letting go of tension, emotion, and story. As you exhale, imagine you are releasing everything that no longer belongs to you. Release the old patterns. Release the old beliefs. Release the old identity. You do not need to understand it. You do not need to analyze it. You only need to let it go. And then inhale again. But this time, inhale with a new intention. Not a wish, not a desire, not a fantasy. A clear directive, a silent command. Let my life align with my true nature. And then exhale, and hold, and be still. This is the sacred 4-step breath protocol. Return to the body. Breathe into the heart. Enter the quantum pause. Release and reframe. This is how you become the observer. This is how you stop reacting to life. This is how you begin to create it. But the protocol is not the final truth. The final truth is deeper, because you are not simply practicing breathwork. You are rewriting your identity. You are shifting the frequency of your being. And once your frequency changes, your life will begin to change automatically. Not because you are trying harder, but because you are being more aligned. And here is where it gets truly dangerous. When you begin to breathe like this, you will notice something in the world. You will notice synchronicities. You will notice people showing up. You will notice doors opening without effort, not because you are lucky, but because your internal state has changed, and the field has responded. The universe does not reward effort. It responds to alignment. This is why the breath is so powerful, because it aligns your body, mind, and heart into coherence. And coherence is the language of creation. You are no longer a fragmented human. You are a unified being. And unified beings create reality. Now, there is one more technique that makes this automatic. A way to access the quantum pause in just 0.3 seconds. Because you don't always have time to sit and breathe. Sometimes life hits you. Sometimes the world demands your attention. And that's when the old patterns try to take over. That's when you need the quantum pause. The quantum pause is a tiny breath interruption. A moment of stillness that stops the momentum of reactivity. It's like pressing pause on a movie. It gives you the space to choose. Here is how you do it. Notice the inhale. Notice the exhale. And then hold the breath for a fraction of a second, just long enough to create a gap, just long enough to remember who you are. In that gap, you become the observer again. In that gap, you regain control. In that gap, reality begins to reorganize around you. You can do this anywhere, in a meeting, in traffic, in a conversation that triggers you. You can pause, and in that pause, you become the calm center that organizes the storm. This is what the ancient masters knew. The most powerful thing you can do is often nothing at all. Not because you are lazy, because you are wise, because you understand the field, because you understand that stillness is not emptiness. Stillness is power. Stillness is creation. Stillness is the true work. And breath is the tool that gets you there. If you've made it this far, you are not here by accident. You are here because something inside you is ready to wake up. You are ready to become the observer. You are ready to reshape reality from within. But the journey is not over, because the final layer is where the real transformation occurs. The final layer is where your breath becomes your identity, where your inner temple becomes your home, where your life begins to reflect the sacred rhythm of your being. You've been walking through life as a character in your own story, reacting to the plot, chasing outcomes, searching for proof that you're worthy of a better reality. But you were never meant to be a character. You were meant to be the author. And the breath is your pen. This is the final revelation, the one that changes everything. Because the breath doesn't just shape your reality. It shapes who you believe you are. Most people live inside a loop of identity created by memory, by trauma, by fear, by the story of who they think they are. And that story becomes the lens through which reality is filtered. You think, I am not enough. So reality reflects not enough. You think, I am not safe. So reality becomes unsafe. You think, I am powerless. So reality proves you right. This is the tragedy. You are not trapped by circumstances. You are trapped by the story you breathe into existence. But when you become the observer, you step outside the story. You begin to breathe from the part of you that is timeless, the part that existed before the mind, the part that will exist after the body. This is the part the world doesn't want you to remember, because if you remember it, you become ungovernable. You stop needing approval. You stop seeking validation. You stop chasing outcomes. You become sovereign. And sovereignty begins in the breath. You don't have to prove anything anymore. You don't have to perform. You don't have to fix your life by force. You simply breathe. You simply return to the observer. And the world rearranges itself, because the field responds to your coherence, not your effort. This is why the breath is the most radical act of rebellion. Not because it is loud, because it is silent. It does not shout. It does not demand. It simply is, and the field cannot resist it. When you breathe from stillness, you become the calm center of the storm. The hurricane cannot touch the eye. The world can rage around you. But inside, you are steady. You are coherent. You are aligned. You are the observer. And in that alignment, the world begins to mirror you. This is how you manifest effortlessly. Not by forcing, not by pushing, not by trying to control every outcome, but by becoming the kind of person who naturally attracts aligned experiences, because reality is not random. Reality is a reflection, a mirror, and the mirror responds to the frequency you broadcast. So if you want a new life, you don't need a new strategy. You need a new breath, a new identity, a new state. This is the final secret. Your breath is not just something you do, it is who you are. When you breathe consciously, you are no longer a passive receiver. You are a living transmitter, a field of coherence, a presence that organizes reality. You become the calm center that everything moves around. And the most powerful part is this: you don't have to maintain it perfectly. You only have to return to it. Every time you remember to breathe consciously, you are resetting your reality. Every time you return to the observer, you are rewriting your story. Every time you pause, you are stepping out of the old loops. You are becoming a new person. This is why breath is sacred. Because it is the thread that connects you to creation, the thread that ties your body to the quantum field, the thread that links you to the divine. And once you see this truth, you can never go back to living unconsciously. Because now you understand, every breath is an opportunity. Every breath is a choice. Every breath is a chance to reshape your reality from the inside out. So as you leave this space, take this rhythm with you. Let your breath be your compass. Let stillness be your throne. Let awareness walk with you in every moment. And remember this: you were not born to survive. You were born to create. Your first act in this world was an inhale. Your last act will be an exhale. And everything in between is the sacred dance of breath. You are the observer. You are the field. You are the creator. And the universe is listening. The final truth is simple. Stillness is not the absence of power. Stillness is power. And your breath is the key. You are the door. Step through.